Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out the card game Cat Capers. This game is appropriate for ages 8 and up, supports 2 to 4 players, and has an average play time of 20 to 30 minutes. Basically, in this game, each player is a cat, and they're trying to complete challenges in order to win these activity cards in order to score points. As far as your components are concerned, let me just show you the inside of the box real quick. This folds open like so. You've got these player screens. Each player is going to get one of these. Now, just a quick note about these player screens. I don't have enough room in the camera shot to set up all of these screens, so just keep in the back of your mind that each player gets a player screen to hide their choices as they make them. Speaking of choices, each player gets one of these bidding boards, along with these matching paw tokens, and then behind their screens they're going to be assigning these paw tokens to these 4 houses here, which correspond to these house boards up here. And there's a reason for that, which I'll get into later. You've also got these cat cards. Each player gets 4 at the beginning of the game, and these give players like special abilities that they can play to help them win these activity cards up here. This is your first player token here. And your rule book. As you can see, it's not too complicated. You've also got these player aid cards, one for each color. Now there's also a Dog Dilemmas expansion directions, and that includes these 4 gray paw tokens here. That is only used for that particular expansion. For the sake of this video, I'm going to opt to not include this and just explain the basic rule set. Just keep in the back of your mind, though, that if you want to up your game a bit, you can add this variant to the game if you so choose to. Okay, so just to quickly recap game setup, you're going to shuffle these smaller activity cards and deal 4 piles of 6. So there's 6 cards here, 6, 6, and 6. Each player gets one of these bidding tracks and the matching paw tokens. And again, they also get one of these player screens, but it would look funny if I had these set up. You wouldn't really be able to see much beyond them if I did that. So just imagine that they are here set up to hide player choices. Each player also gets 4 cards, 4 cat cards from this deck up here. Now, if you're playing with only 2 players, you're only going to use 3 of these houses, and you're going to flip the track to the other side, and you can see there's only 3 houses here listed. But because we have a 3-player setup here, you're going to use all 4 houses. And that's basically game setup. Okay, so the game is played over a series of 6 rounds, and the reason why the number 6 exists is because there's 6 cards in each of these decks. Every round, one of these cards will be revealed. In fact, let's just go to that right now. There are 5 phases in a round, and the first phase is revealing the top card. Like so. And these are the cards that players are going to be trying to win in order to score points. So again, the first phase of a round is revealing the top card of this deck. And eventually, over the course of 6 rounds, you'll run out of cards and the game will end. So that will conclude phase 1. In phase 2, players, again, will be having these screens. Keep that in the back of your mind. And they're going to be secretly making choices, trying to bid on these 4 houses here. So they're going to assign these paw tokens to the matching house. So this house matches this house matches this one, and so on. So let's say that the green player really wanted to win this card here. This card is worth 3 points. You can see the point value in the upper left-hand corner. Oh, by the way, you'll notice that these cards are color-coded. If you happen to win a card of your color, you score an additional point. For example, if this red player wins this card here that is worth 2 points, they would actually get 3 points. Whereas if the green player won this card, they would only score 2 points because it doesn't match their color. So anyway, getting back to the bidding process, again, behind the player screens, secretly, players are going to be assigning these paw tokens to the various houses on the cards that they're trying to win. Alternatively, they can assign them to these baskets over here, and for every paw that they have in their basket at the end of the round, they get to draw an additional cat card, which I'll get to in a minute. But just to quickly sum them up, cat cards allow them to perform special abilities and help them win challenges, which again I'll get to in a minute. But suffice to say, for right now, you draw the top card on each of the 4 decks, and then players will secretly bid on those 4 cards. And that concludes Phase 1 and 2. Okay, so Phase 3 of a round involves revealing their, again, each player has one of these little screens here. They're going to reveal their screens, and they're going to put their paws onto the appropriate house. So in this case, this player has 2 paws. It's going to go here, and then one here, and then this one here, and this one here, and then these go here, and this goes here. Okay, so a number of different things happen at this point, and you're going to be resolving challenges. That moves on to Phase 4 of a round. So the way the challenges work, these baskets do not get put toward any of these houses. That just allows you to draw extra cards at the end of your turn. Now let's just go ahead and take a look at each board one at a time. In this case, in this first board here, there is no opposition. The yellow player definitely won this. There's no other pause here, so there are no challenges. So this yellow player wins this card, and that's actually worth an additional point to them because it matches their color, which is awesome. So that takes care of that board. Then you've got this board here. Now that is a challenge. You've got 2 green and 2 red here. They're both fighting for this activity. At this point, starting with the starting player, going clockwise, what you're going to do is each player will get to play one of their cards to help them win this challenge if they so choose, or they can pass if they want. So they can play Tall Grass. This card counts as 2 extra cat paws. Now there's something important here. Whenever you play a card for its effect, it has to match the color out of the activity. So in this case, this player does not have a red card in their hand, which would allow them to use it as a special ability. So that kind of sucks for this player. Alternatively, there is a catnip card. This card counts as 2 extra cat paws. Use it at any house. So they could use this card if they want to. Alternatively, they can use any card that they want to, regardless of its color, play it face down, just to give themselves an extra paw for that house. They're trying to out-paw their opponent, so to speak, trying to get more paws than their opponent. But since this player has a catnip card, they're probably going to play this. So that would count as 2 extra paws. So now green has 4, red has 2, and now the red player is going to go ahead and play a card and see if he can do anything about that. Okay, so catnip, he has a catnip card too. Butterflies, let's say that he plays catnip, and that gives him 2 extra paws. So now they're tied again, 4-4. And then this player will go ahead and possibly play something. How about, he'd have to play something face down because the colors don't match. So we'll do something like this. And let's say that red gives up and does not want to fight green anymore. So in this case, green has more paws than red. And again, one of your options is actually to retreat. You don't have to keep playing cards if you don't want to. You can pass. You can be a quote-unquote scaredy cat and just retreat and, you know, take your paws away. But in this case, that's exactly what's going to happen here. Green wins the challenge. These cards get discarded like so. And green wins this challenge and scores that particular card. They only score 2 points, though, because that does not match their particular color. And then these paws go here. They cannot be used again for this round. And then, of course, you've got these other 2 houses that we have to resolve. Now, this one is going unopposed. This yellow token here goes unopposed. So the yellow player wins this. Now, it's worth 0 points, but there's this little symbol in the bottom left-hand corner. That allows them to draw an extra activity card from over here on the left. There's extra ones left over from dealing 6 to each. So they actually score this and put this into their own score pile, like so. And then they take this back. And then finally, again, we've got another challenge over here. Let's say that green does really, I mean, he's almost out of cards. He doesn't really want to fight, so he's going to be a scaredy cat and just retreat his paw like this, and red would win that event, like so. He gets an extra point because it matches his color, takes that back, And then that would conclude the round. Now, at the end of a round, you get to draw cat cards. Again, if you have a token, a paw token on your basket, you get to draw an extra card. So one for green, here's one for red, so one for red. And then after that, each player gets to draw one by default. All right, and that concludes a round. And that's basically all there is to it. Rounds will continue, activity cards will come up, players will be bidding on these various activity cards, trying to win them. And at the end of the game, when all of these cards have run out, these cards will be won by different players. Oh, by the way, if no one bids on a house, the activity card is just simply discarded. No one wins it. But at the end of the game, players will count up how many points they've won, and then whoever has the most will win the game. Okay, so there you have it, a quick look at cat capers. Once again, it's important to stress that I do not cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just to give you a general overview so that you could see how the game was played. As far as what I thought, I like this one. It's a good mix of resource management and mind games. Like Granny Wars, there are some mind games involved in trying to guess where your opponent is going to be bidding when it comes to the different activity cards on the table. Like, let's say your opponent is red in color, and there is a red activity card showing on one of the houses. You could probably guess in your head that, okay, this player is more than likely going to be putting at least maybe 2 or 3 paws on that house in order to try and win that. Because again, if you win an activity card of your color, you get to score an extra point on top of that. So you can sort of predict where your opponent is going to go. But by the same token, you can be devious and not go after cards of your color and instead bid on cards that your opponents wouldn't expect, and hopefully easily win those cards and, just accumulate your score pile that way. So there's a little bit of mind games going on. There's also some resource management in the form of your cat cards. Like I was saying, these cat cards have different abilities. And again, in order to make use of their ability, you have to match the color of the card with the activity that you're fighting for. So if the activity card is red, you can only play red cards in order to activate their effect. Of course, you can play the card face down just to add a single extra paw to that house if you want to. You can also retreat. You can do different things like that. Alternatively, you could spend a round just putting a bunch of paws. If you don't like any of the cards showing on the table, you could put a bunch of your paws into your basket so that you could draw a whole bunch of cards at the end of the round in the hopes that in a future round when there are some more juicy activity cards out that you want, you'll have plenty of options available to you to grab them using these cat cards. So overall, pretty cool game. If you want to see my review, you can www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.